Hey everybody, back with another video here. This is a Galaga board and I'm going to power it on here. It does have some issues, I think, but it could just be cleaning chips and stuff like that. Look at the oxidation on some of these custom chips. This is a 06. There's another one right there. So these legs need to be cleaned up. And just the board's clean. There is a little bit of bowing to the boards. I can see that. There's some bowing, but it's not too bad. So I got my Galaga adapter plugged in. Let's see what we get. Whoops. It says RAM 2L. RAM 2L. So I could look that up and see what that is, but what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to remove all the chips, clean the boards, clean the chip legs, and put them back in, and then let's come back and look at it. RAM 2L. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to hit the reset button. Let's see if we get the error is consistent. RAM 4L. So it's not consistent. I don't know if that's what that means. RAM 4L. Let's hit our test switch. Will that do anything? Nope. Let me one more time. Let's see. So it seems pretty consistent for RAM 4L if I hit the reset switch. And I just powered it off. We'll power it back on. We hear some audio. RAM 4L. Little change of plans here. The 3L and 4L are right here at 3H and 3E. On the graphics board, and I believe those have an address bus coming from this 1H here. This 0456. I have an 04 chip. I don't think the last two digits number from a Super Pac-Man. So I'm just going to take this out, put this chip in here real quick, and let's see if we get to boot. All right, I just replaced that real quick. See, those legs are really bad. So let's see here what we get, if it's any better. I'm just kind of screwing around. No, it's not. Alright, so maybe these chips are questionable or something, I don't know, but you know, it could be the address buffers going to them or from them or whatever, so. But it definitely wasn't that chip, which is fine. I'm going to take things out and then clean them up and then come back, I think. Because look at that. I mean, I got to clean these up anyway. They're terrible. Now, I could use a Dremel. I could also just use, because when you see these black legs like this, it's typically, you can use Tarnex. It's probably because they're like gold plated or something. You know, the plating is different. It's like either, it's probably silver plated or something. So I could use Tarnex. I just like using the Dremel anyway, but the Tarnex stuff kind of works. It does. The Tarnex does get all the way up inside of it, which is nice. So I might use Tarnex this time. Hit reset again, and I actually got it to boot. So when I first powered it on, it had 4L, and now I hit the reset button, and now it's playing, but it has some Sprite issues. But again, as I've said 3 times now, I'm going to remove all the chips, clean the legs, clean the boards, and then come back and we'll start looking at what's going on. We have some intermittent RAM issues. We got some Sprite issues now as well, which could be a prom or something like that, maybe. Alright, so I have all the boards cleaned, and I cleaned most of the chips up, the chip legs and stuff. Now, these select few here, as well as 4M, I put into Tarnex, and this is what it looks like coming out of Tarnex. So it's not, you know, I kind of like it, but at the same time, I don't think it does as good a job as the Dremel. It can get into areas where the Dremel can't get, but that's the Tarnex right there. So I'm going to clean them up, finish cleaning them up with a Dremel, stick them in. There's a couple that have chip legs that are little, I don't know which one it is. This one here has some weak chip legs that I need to fix. Alright, so we got all the chips done. I have two that have questionable legs. This one I had to actually repair a couple legs and solder it into a socket. This one here, I just did it because it's one of the legs is weak, and in both cases I'm just using a temporary socket on a machine pin socket so I can insert it into the existing socket, basically. So it's like two sockets right there, but I'll replace the socket. I just am not doing it right now. Alright, so all the legs are clean. I think let's check all our chip orientation. I think everything's good. Yeah, that's facing the right way, yep. And there, this one is facing me, all to the left. All the RAM. I did test all the RAM actually in my Neolock. They all test fine, and I figured they did. So, and there was a couple like this. Is this a RAM? Where's that RAM at? That RAM right there, like a 6116. All the legs were kind of like at an angle, so I straightened all the legs and stuff too. So, power it on. Let's see what we get. See if we get any weird errors. Yep, we still got an error. So I figured it wasn't that, but I wanted to start, and if I hit a reset here, I wanted to start with all the legs, you know, clean and stuff, and then we can kind of troubleshoot this. It's almost like it gets better. I'm able to start a game after it warms up, but there's obviously some type of problem going on. So I'm going to leave the board on because as it warms up, which is weird, the game will probably actually boot. So I don't know if it's a ROM issue or what the problem is. So I'm just checking. Yeah, I think I didn't mess anything up. No, it's the same behavior. So I might actually break out my Catbox, FPGA Catbox, and let's see what that does. I just let it warm up a little bit, and then it boots up after I hit a reset again. Which is kind of weird. So there's definitely some type of chip that, and it's, I think the RAM that's giving me is between 3E and 3H or something, if I'm not mistaken, which we got this 1H that kind of controls that. We got these buffers here, these address buffers that might be part of the problem, but we'll figure it out. So I have my Catbox FPGA tester powered on, connected via USB right here to my computer. Then I have the Z80 adapter, and that's plugged into my Z80 sock adapter or whatever. So let's see. That's pretty much it. And then if I come over here, well, that's a big glare. Let's see if you guys can see this. Basically, somebody already had this configuration, so I just hit load config, and hopefully this is focused in here. Go to Namco. There's Galaga main. Open that up. Hit open. It says it's got our logic Z80 not detected turbo. Hardware Z80 not detected turbo, whatever that means. Oh yeah, I have turbo. Why does it say Z80 is not detected? The one thing I was curious about, and I'm panning too fast, is if I never upgraded the firmware on this, But maybe I have to power it on. I'm not exactly sure. Let's just go ahead and power it on. See what happens. Open. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Now it says Z80. And alright, so we have our ROMs. Looks like in 3N, 3M, 3L, 3K. I believe those are there's maybe 2 sound ROMs. I don't know. I haven't even looked at, Galaga on Mame or anything like that, but I think there's like 2 sound CPUs and then 2 sound ROMs and then 4 program ROMs. I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and do a RAM test. Alright, well that's good. All the RAM pass. Let's do a ROM test. Start ROM test. I've got some issues here. And I don't know what the hell that means. But it could be a different version. So I might need to see what version they have. Is there... Not pokey, that's not going to matter. Manual. Is there anything over here? Input, output. Well, CPU is resetting. That's interesting. Yeah, man, this thing is so crazy. Like, I have to do so much reading to figure out what the hell's going on here. Interesting. Alright, so we know the RAM it's good, and the CPU is able to get to this RAM location here fine, that RAM location, and it tests these in pair. So this is 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, and it's testing all of that fine. But we're not able to read these ROMs, but it could be a different ROM signature, and I believe that 3E and 3J, like this 3E goes to this Z80 and this one goes to this one, so you can't really read it with the main CPU there. Interesting. Alright, but at least we know the address bus is fine all the way to the RAM, so that's good. Alright, so I was messing with the Catbox here, and the FPGA Catbox. And let's see here. If I go to ROMs, I actually did add the extra ROMs. So you can actually, I didn't know this, I learned this by posting on Clove. But you can actually, obviously you stipulate a ROM folder, but for each version, you can actually give it a name. So there's, ROM 0 in the configuration file is a Galaga Midway ROM, and then ROM 1, I made it as the regular Galaga ROM, and then ROM 2 is Galaga Midway, 3 is Galaga Midway, Galaga, etc. So then if we go to the ROM testing page, we can choose which version of ROM we want to test, or we can just do detect version and it will read the address space on the board and tell us what version is actually running on there. Will it? Interesting. Oh, it says detected. There you go. there's a result. So it read through all of them and tested it against every, all the ROMs we have in the configuration file, and it says it detected ROM 3400C at 3L. So in 3L, it detected that. So you could actually see it say OK the first time I went through the first ROM version. So it did detect one of the ROMs being the same. But it also gives you the CRCs, and what you can do is, let's just Control C that, and then go to, I think it's Arcade Nut's website, Arcade Nut on Clove, and if you go to his ROM ident, Arcade Restoration ROM identification, you can just cut and paste the CRC that we just read using the Catbox, and it tells us the ROM set for that is ROM name MK2-1 Galaga ROM set Galaga MK. So I have another ROM set in this board that I actually need to load into the configuration file, but we can, test another one here real quick. Let's test. Hopefully that you can see this on the screen. I'm kind of zoomed in, but not really. We know 3L what that is, so let's go to this one. And we can almost like verify the ROMs just by cutting and pasting here. Yeah, this is a Galaga MK as well, MK2.2. So I need to load those ROMs into my configuration file. So there'll be 3 ROM sets in the Galaga configuration file. But anyway, I'm going to do that. But I know basically the CPU is able to read these ROMs, no problem. There's no address bus or data bus buffers between these ROMs and the main CPU. And then this CPU, I think, is like, one of these is a sound CPU and one of these they call the sub CPU. And so there's actually space for it to read 2 ROMs. Maybe that's in a DigDug or some DigDug 2 or Bosconian, or I don't know if anybody uses them, but in the Galaga it's just one ROM for the sub CPU and one ROM for the sound CPU, and I don't know which one's which. So I would have to put the Catbox adapter into that CPU socket to read that ROM. And the same thing. And all of this memory here, which tests fine from this CPU, does go through buffers, but each CPU has, I think, uses a different 08, these bus controllers. So each one of these CPUs uses a different one to kind of get to the RAM and other parts of the board. So I think I will want to move this adapter to the different Z80 sockets and read memory that way as well, potentially. And so I don't know, but anyway, I'm just going to go through, verify the ROMs again. It looks like this was Arcade Buffet, so somebody might have signed this. Some high score guy probably. So I don't want to change the ROMs, obviously, if I don't have to. I want to leave it as much as original as possible. So let me just mess with the Catbox a little bit and come back. Alright, so let's go ahead and do detect version. It reads through all the ROMs, or reads the ROMs and then compares them to everything that I have files on inside the FPGA Cat. And then it tells you that it's got MK2-1 at 3N, MK2-2 at 3M, 3400C at 3L, MK2-4 at 3K. And if I choose my different ROM versions over here in the upper right hand, Galaga, that's the Namco version. Then you have midway set 1, midway set 2, start the ROM test, says all is okay. And again, start the RAM test. You can repeat that and let it run and run and run, and it's all good. So RAM is good and ROM is good. So we know the ROMs are good for that. I guess I will come back and maybe move this over and test the RAM, see what that does. Alright, so I plugged my Z80 adapter into, I think they call this sub CPU, and then this is sub CPU 1 or 2 or something like that. So if we come up here and we run a ROM test, and I'm just using the same setup, so really I need to create a whole new configuration file. But if I just go to ROM and I hit start ROM test, it's just going to tell me, actually let me do it again. Yeah, I don't even know how I'm getting anything on those addresses, but whatever. It's just going to, all I care about is this first address space here, 0 to 0FFF. If I'm looking at the Mame correctly, I think. Yeah, 0 to 1000 hex. So, and when that should be, is that right? Yeah, because it gives me the CRC BC556 something, whatever. And you see here it's the same thing, BC55E76. If I just cut and paste that, put it in this ROM identification tool. Where's my ROM ident? Right there. This is the easiest way to do it. Just Control V, I think. Paste. Comes right up and says, okay, this is 3600E, which is in Galaga MW. So we have a mix match. We have game ROMs that are Galaga MK and a sub ROM for the second CPU, which is in Galaga MW. So we really need the Galaga MK. I don't know what the difference is here, but it's definitely not matching this. I need to have the sub CPU and sub, the second sub CPU be correct or match with the main, I guess. So I'm wondering if that's our problem. Some ROM mismatches. Not sure. All right, just wanted to show that real quick. All right, so I have the CPU, the socket plugged into sub 2, which might be the sound. I'm not sure. But if I do a detect version, it doesn't detect anything. I put this CRC into my ROM ident, and I get some game called Cow Omega, whatever that is, some bingo thing. So obviously something doesn't seem right with that ROM. So I am going to pull 3E, burn a new 3J. 3J is fine, but not for this version, and burn a new 3E and see what we get. Alright, I did put in, I was not getting a good reading on the chip at 3E because my adapter had a pin that was folded over. I didn't notice it when I was inserting it, but anyway, both of those ROMs are fine. I verified them, but they are of the version MW or Midway 3600 and 3700, whereas Galaga Namco and Galaga MK, which is I guess the second version of the Midway, I don't know, might be older. Maybe this one's the newer version. But regardless, those are now matching what they're supposed to be in the MK set, at least according to Mame. I don't know if it didn't have any impact on the graphics thing, which I still think is a prom issue over here. But one thing I thought was interesting is with the FPGA thing, the Catbox FPGA, you can actually, I was exchanging some stuff with Fred on Clove, and you can actually go to manual IO and load the DigDug. Let's see here, Atari DigDug, let's see right there, sequences, DigDug soundtest, and then it populates this manual IO read-write operation, and that has basically different memory addresses are setting different variables pretty much with the data that you're writing to that memory address. So you have waveform select, frequency low, frequency middle, you have volume, etc. And then you can just run this and you can hear that. That's the actual PC running this sound test here, I guess. And then you can put it on repeat. And I'm just following what Fred did in his video. You can change the volume to 0 on one of the channels, and then you can hear that change. So now I only have channel 2. Now nothing. If I put F, that'll be the highest volume. Change that to A. And then we can change the frequency here. Let's change this to 0. Ooh, that sounds bad. Hopefully you can hear that. Let's change channel 2 frequency to channel 2 frequency high. Ooh, that's pretty high. Let's see how high we can go. Oh, wow. So anyway, I don't know, I just wanted to test and show that the Dig Dug one worked, I guess. So everything seems to be working. I don't remember what that was set at, by the way. Alright, on to the graphics issue. I put the prom in here. It supposedly is a 82S129. I don't know, but if I try to read it in my programmer, I'm getting errors. So it's saying that, yeah, it does not look good for whatever reason. But I guess I'll burn another one. I'm tempted to, what the hell? I'm tempted to use one of these adapters like this because I don't really want to waste a prom, but I think I'm just going to burn a prom because I don't feel like making an adapter. Alright, I replaced the prom here, and I also verified the voltage. It was a little low on this board. It was around 4.8 volts, and I bumped it up so it read about 5.0. So let's power it on. See what we get. And it boots right up. Let's see if our Sprites is fixed. Yep, looks like the Sprites are fixed, so it was just a bad prom. Bad prom at 1C on the graphics board. Sounds good. Everything looks good. I might put these back in and see if it changes anything. I wonder if it changes the sound or what. I mean, one of these is I think this is the sound, and one of these is the graphics program. They definitely verify differently. This is supposed to be on 3K. This is all the 3K ROMs. I don't know. Wacky. Because I probably didn't need to burn those, but I don't know. It's kind of strange. No idea, but it looks good. The other thing is Mame has some notes in there saying that this is a 1.5 megahertz that the CPUs are running at. They're actually running at 3 megahertz. So you need, Z80As or higher, I guess, whatever. You need, the 4 megahertz Z80s instead of 2s or 1s or whatever. I don't know. All right, so let's see. What else am I going to do? I need to swap these. I need to put in new sockets for 2L and 4D so I can so those customs will be in there permanently. Cool. Okay, so I replaced the sockets here, 2L and 4D, just because 4D, the leg was still there. I just did a quick little solder on the leg just to strengthen it a little bit, but you can remove it from the socket. So that's 4D, 2L, a leg or 2 legs were busted. So, oh gosh, I'm running out of recording room. But let's power it on. See what we get here, and then I'll come back and talk about the ROM revisions. But I think see how it booted right up. That was a power issue. I didn't have enough power going to this board, but maybe there's something else going on over here. I don't know, but it seemed like that was a power, a power issue. So everything looks like it's going okay, but I'll come back here and play a game or something. So let's see. I'll recap what I did with this board. So we took the board off, took all the chips out, washed the board, cleaned all the chips with a Dremel or Tarnex, and I think just 2L was the only one that ended up having broken legs. 4D had one weak leg, reinforced it, replaced those 2 sockets just so it'd be easier to put in a machine socket later if needed. And it wasn't booting up. I was getting random RAM errors on boot up. Adjusted the voltage, those random errors went away. Like I think it was like 4L. It was these 2 reading to these 2 RAM chips over there. And then for the graphics, the Sprite issues, that was at 1C or something. Is that 1? Yeah, I think that's 1. Yeah, 1C. And one thing I noticed is I can leave my hand on this Tesla B prom, but on these other B proms, they get pretty damn hot. Like if you keep your hand on it, oh, that's not a B prom right here. I mean, that thing is hot. I can't keep my finger on that thing. It's so hot. And same with these other ones. Like the original B proms, this Tesla 80, the equivalent of an 82S 129, definitely is cooler for some reason, which is kind of nice actually. So it's no wonder some of these proms fail because they're pretty damn hot. And I did burn 2 replacement ROMs for the coprocessor ROM and for the sound ROM, I guess. I don't know what's different about them, but this Galaga Galaga Midway Set 2 is what's in here. Galaga MK in Mame, it's the Set 2. So I'm just going to make it a full set, make sure it matches. And I think that's it. Let's turn the light off and play a game. Can I, yeah, I'll flip it on the thing, I guess. I'm playing sideways, so I'll flip it in the video here. And it's going to be hard for me to play sideways like this. I've had the game on for probably pretty much the last couple hours. You know, I have powered it off, but I haven't left it off. Oh shit. There we go. I don't know if you guys can tell there's any difference in sound or anything, but if anybody knows what the difference is on the coprocessor and stuff, let me know, because I have no idea. Oh shit. Didn't see that guy. This is a bad game of Galaga, playing sideways. Shit. Oh, stuck. Is that it? Game over? Alright, game over. That's it. Galaga fixed. It was an easy fix, but I think even classic arcade repairs or the arcade doc. I watched a few of his videos after I did mine, because I don't like to do beyond reading Mame when I'm fixing stuff. But anyway, pulling these chips out, these customs, and making sure that all the legs are good. I don't feel the need to replace the sockets. I mean, there's no flakiness going on if I'm moving the ROMs or anything like that. There's no
No issues there. Same with the RAM chips and stuff. So clean the legs, clean the sockets, and in this case these seem pretty good, so I didn't replace any but these two. Alright, that's it. Cheers everybody. Galaga working.